I'm Stuart McIntosh with the BBC News. Hello. The parents of a teenager accused of killing 4 fellow students at a school in the US state of Michigan have been charged with involuntary manslaughter. James and Jennifer Crumbley's 15-year-old son Ethan has pleaded not guilty to multiple charges, including terrorism and murder, over the mass shootings on Tuesday. Barbara Pletasha reports.
James Crumbley had recently purchased the semi-automatic pistol used by his son. Michigan law doesn't require gun owners to keep weapons locked away from their children. But the county prosecutor said the Crumbley's actions went far beyond negligence. She said they had been called to the school hours before the shooting, when teachers found an alarming note that Ethan had drawn. It was scrawled with images of a gun, a person who had been shot, and the words, "The thoughts won't stop, help me." But the teenager's parents did not want him to be removed from school and did not ask him whether he had the gun with him. If convicted, they could face up to 15 years in prison.
The Ethiopian government is closing all secondary schools for a week to allow students to harvest crops while farmers are away fighting. Many schools have been destroyed in the conflict between the government and Tigrayan rebels. Beverly Ochieng reports from Nairobi.
More than 1.2 million children are already being kept at home as hundreds of schools have been destroyed in Ethiopia's year-long civil war. Now students are being asked to support the war effort by harvesting farmland. The north is suffering a dire humanitarian situation and food crisis. Fighting has restricted access to aid and inhibited farming. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has been leading federal forces in battle for nearly 2 weeks. His efforts have spurred members of the public to join the National Army in the front line.
Talks in Vienna aimed at reviving the international nuclear deal with Iran have faltered, with European diplomats expressing disappointment and concern. They say Tehran is now demanding major changes to compromises agreed earlier in the year. Iran's top negotiator has responded by saying that his counterparts should come up with their own suggestions. Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan has deplored what he called a horrific vigilante attack on a Sri Lankan man who was lynched after being accused of blasphemy. Mr. Khan said the murder of Prayantha Kumara was a day of shame for Pakistan. Shumaila Jaffrey reports from Islamabad.
Videos being circulated on social media show a mob of hundreds of men armed with sticks and batons attacking Prayantha Kumara. Police now say they have arrested more than 100 people, including one of the main suspects, with the help of mobile phone footage. Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan and the Chief of Army Staff have condemned the killing, calling it shameful. They said the perpetrators would be brought to justice.
You're listening to the latest world news from the BBC. The Ugandan army says the first days of a military offensive against jihadist rebels in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo have led to many enemy casualties. It says 5 camps belonging to the Allied Defence Forces, or ADF, have been hit by airstrikes and ground attacks. Job growth in the United States slowed sharply last month. Employers hired 210,000 more workers in November, less than half of that number economists had predicted. However, at the same time, the unemployment rate dropped significantly to 4.2% as more Americans returned to the workforce. Police in Panama have seized $10 million in cash from drug trafficking gangs connected to Colombia's powerful Gulf Clan cartel. The authorities say it's the biggest single haul of drug money ever retrieved in the country. Leonardo Rocha reports.
5 police officers were among more than 50 people arrested as part of a major security operation launched earlier this week. It follows the arrest in Colombia last month of the leader of the Gulf Clan, Dairo Antonio Usaga, known as Otoniel. Investigators say those arrested in Panama were being paid to hide huge amounts of cocaine produced in Colombia before smuggling the drugs to the United States. They say the arrest of Otoniel, who's expected to be extradited to the US soon, has significantly weakened Colombia's biggest drugs cartel.
An independent review of the disorder at Wembley Stadium in London during the final of the Euro 2020 football tournament in July has accused the authorities of a collective failure. A report said it was lucky there weren't serious injuries or worse when 2,000 ticketless fans forced their way in. It said the occasion turned into a day of national shame for the English hosts. The police and the Football Association have apologised. That's the BBC News.